Hello guys, today I'd like to talk about volleys. Have you ever feel frustrated when you're playing a match, maybe doubles or singles, where you're at the net and you should be able to finish the point by putting the ball away, but all you can do is just push the ball back, without enough power, right? So have you ever wondered how to add some more power to a volley? So today we'll talk about that. We'll talk about how to add some power to a volley. So first of all, to add power, you don't want to swing too big, right? So first, let's review the basic volley. I have talked about the weight transfer in a previous video. You can check that out. I will put the link somewhere. So basically, the basic volley looks like this. For forehand, load your right leg and stepping with your left leg. For the backhand volley, load your left leg and step in with the right leg. Note that there's minimum movement on my arm and shoulder. So maybe I turn 45 degrees, keep the racket head up. Maybe you can lay back your wrist a little bit and then move. So this whole thing moves as a one unit. Same thing for backhand. So today, we're going to talk about how to add a little bit more power on top of the basic volley. So the technique is called pronation and supernation. All right, so this is neutral for my forearm. This is supernation. And this is pronation. All right? So basically, to add some power, you can do a little bit of pronation and supernation. Okay, so I'm going to illustrate it here. So I will isolate, right now I will isolate other movements of the leg and shoulder. Okay, let's just focus on the pronation and supernation for a moment. So for forehand volley, to add some power, you want first some supernation, then pronation back. Okay, so I would say you supinate for about 20 to 30 degrees like that, and then pronate back. All right, let me do it again. Supinate, pronate, supinate, pronate. Okay. For backhand volley, you want to do the opposite. So pronate first for about 30 to 20 degrees, and then supinate. Pronate, supinate. Pronate, supinate. Okay. Pronate, supinate. Okay. So why do we want to do that? Because, look, this, when I use my leg and move my shoulder, it's big muscle that's working. And normally, the racket head will be slow, okay? It's powerful but slow, like this, right? Look, the racket head is at the same speed as my arm. So this is actually very slow. Right. But the supination and pronation can make the racket head much faster. Look at like that. Right. This is much faster than this. Right. Same thing. Yeah, see, this is supination, pronation. It's much faster than using only your big muscle, right? So, to do this, there are several points you have to pay attention to. One is that, see, when I do this forehand volley, when I supinate, only 30 to 20 degrees, not too much, first of all, right? 30 to 20 degrees, that's enough, okay? Second is that for your forehand, when you pronate back, do not cross this neutral position, all right? So you don't want to go back to over neutral, right? So basically you go from here to here, okay? For the backhand, from here to here, okay? That's your contact point, okay? So when you contact the ball, it should be neutral. And then after that, if you have to keep moving forward, it's 1 unit, okay? You don't want to just do that, right? Unless, you're very close to the net, maybe you can go over a little bit. But in general, you only want to go from here to here. That's your contact point, right? That's number 2. You can do some drills, like by feeding a ball to yourself or hitting off a wall. Isolate other parts, just do this pronation and supination, right? So for forehand, supinate, pronate, supinate, pronate. Okay. You will feel immediately that you're much stronger, okay? And hit the ball much faster, right? So even I don't move my leg, even I don't move my shoulder, I just do this, you should have decent power. Okay, just try that at home, okay? Try that next time you play. Try that. So that's actually a secret why some pros look like they are not doing much, but the ball comes back very quickly. All right, they can put things away. All right. So then you can combine this with the basic volley. So in the basic volley, your racket head maybe move from here, right? So maybe from here to here, right? Here to here. So now adding this supination, pronation. So you want to combine those 2 motions together. One motion is here to here. One motion is here to here. So it becomes from here, see my racket is like 20, 30 degrees to here, right? Now I'm neutral, okay? Here to here. Okay. Same thing for backhand, from here to here, okay? So it's very subtle. So the beginning racket position, I'm a little bit pronated. At the end, I supinate back, right? So you can practice that, a lot, okay? So basically, here, here, right? Here, here, right? For backhand, same thing, right? You can go from here, here, right? From here, here, right? Then you can combine it with your legs. So do a full motion where you jump, split step, load your leg, and then here, right? And then here, right? So practice a lot with that. Right? That will give you a lot more power, right? Another thing I like to talk about, and many recreational players are making this mistake, is the difference between this pronation, supination, and some other wrist actions. So this is our wrist, and we have wrist extension and wrist flexion. We can also have wrist radial deviation and wrist Uno deviation. Okay. All these are wrist actions, but the thing I'm talking about is supinating, pronating. Pronating, supinating. That's totally different. Okay. So you do not want wrist actions during your volley, right? So what I'm talking about is this movement, not laying your like a wrist back like this, wrist movement, not the wrist, deviation or wrist extension and then flexion, not that. Okay, because if you do that, your racket will be too laid back and it's not stable. Your wrist is a weak joint. It's not very stable. And, so there's some nuance here, okay? So at the starting point position, you could have some wrist action So your wrist is not neutral. See, you can normally lay back your wrist a little bit, okay? And maybe you can have certain radial deviation. So you have radial deviation and wrist extension, okay? That's your starting position. But during the shot, your wrist should be locked. There's no more change of the wrist form, okay? So you only have this supernation, pronation, okay? Same thing for backhand. You might have a little bit radial deviation and a little bit of flexion, that's fine, okay? So that's why I see your wrist look like cocked. But during the shot, your wrist is locked. All right, so you using your muscle to do the pronation and supination. So the key difference is on the muscles, okay? So to control the wrist action is actually the forearm. There are several muscles that control the wrist. Okay? You don't want to activate that wrist during your volley in general. But the supination and the pronation is mostly coming from your upper arm. Okay? A little bit with your lower arm, but mostly from your upper arm and shoulder. See this pronation, supination. So that's why this is more stable. So have you ever wondered why some pros, when they volley, they look like their racket is up, all the way up. Even they hit some very easy volleys. When they're adding power, the racket head looks very much up. But for many amateur players, when they volley, the racket head looks a lot lower, like the racket is more flat instead of more vertical, right? So that's the main reason. So pay attention to those very subtle but very important differences, right? And you should be able to put away a lot of points. All right, so I also like to talk about under what circumstances should this technique be used, right? So this is very good, but not applicable to every situation. So volley looks simple, but there are lots of variations, right? There are drive volleys, push volleys, touch volleys, drop volleys, etc. Right? We can talk about that later. So you have to choose the right technique for the right situation. So this thing is very useful for several cases. One is when you are facing a slow or medium paced ball that's not too low, right? So you can basically put them away, okay? That's the main use of this technique, adding some power, right? So if you serve and volley, I would say it's good for your, third or fourth volley where you want to put the ball away. But there are several cases when this is not applicable. One is when you do your first volley. Normally the first volley is pretty low, so you just want to push your leg in front, okay? See, I'm not using the pronation or supination. Keep everything as one unit. Okay? Just push your leg. Same thing for forehand volley. Okay? Forehand first volley. Okay? So the main reason is the purpose of the first volley is not to finish the point, but you want to keep the ball deep and away from the net player, right? So, and normally the ball is quite low, so you want to use your leg to push. This technique is also not very good when the ball is coming right at you at a high speed. We call them flex volleys. Normally, all you need to do is just block it back. So don't try to add more racket head speed because the ball is already fast enough. All you need to do is like a wall. Just block the ball back, okay? So good luck, guys, with your volley. Thank you, and I'll see you next time.